the leading story for today is obviously Bam Adebayo scores 83 points, the second most in NBA history, the most in the modern era, eclipsing Kobe's 81, Luka 70s, Dame 70s, Donovan Mitchell, all those 70-point games getting eclipsed by Bam Adebayo, of all people. Just never thought it would be Bam to do this. Any of the guys I just listed, yeah, you can see them doing that. But Bam, oh, forgot to mention Joel Embiid, 70-point game. Like, any of those guys before Bam Adebayo. And Bam's the one that gets 83 points. Now, I know the free throws are a big point of contention for a lot of fans. And we know this to be the case because how they view Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But honestly, I don't care. 83 points, and the conditions were there for this to happen. Now, what do I mean by that? The Washington Wizards are a young, terrible defensive team, and they lack discipline. And in Miami, they have a lot of guys that are capable of scoring and, just looking to get their shots, just not playing because of injuries. Andrew Wiggins wasn't playing, Tyler Hero wasn't playing, Norman Powell wasn't playing. And those are three guys that can easily command 8 to 15 shots a night. If they're in that game, even if Bam Adebayo gets it going like he did in the first quarter, it's very likely he doesn't finish with like 60 points. Like maybe he finished with like 57 points. He's very efficient. But being that you have Tyler Hero, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins on the court, who can also take some pressure off him when it comes to defense, yeah, he most likely just doesn't finish with that high of a point total. But none of those guys are playing, so that just means Bam Adebayo is naturally going to get more shots in general. And with the Wizards not being a good defensive team, it can lead to him getting it going like he did in the first quarter with 32 points, him having a big night and a special night when it's all said and done. Now, when guys have games like this, it does become apparent at some point when both teams are like, all right, we're going to scheme up as many shots and as many looks for this guy to get the record as possible or get as many points as possible. And the other team's like, all right, we're just going to stop the other guy from trying to get this record or score more points. And that did end up developing later in this game because the Wizards were triple teaming him. They were fouling anyone else that got the ball when they were in the bonus, so they would shoot the free throws and not Bam. And Miami was just force fitting Bam on the ball because they're like, whoa, if they're gonna hold him and grab him, eventually the ref's gonna have to make a foul call and he's gonna end up going to the free throw line. So very entertaining game in that aspect, seeing that strategy break down and evolve over the course of the game. But I'm not mad at it. I like seeing history being made. I wish the Warriors could have got the job done in 2016 when they were up 3-1 and up 3-2. But once you see the Cavs win the games they do, and Drummond gets suspended, I'm like, well, I want to see the history being made with a 3-1 comeback. And I got to see that. So it was the best of both worlds in that series, for example. Whether the Warriors win, you get to see the new greatest team of all time being assembled. And if the Cavs end up winning, you get to see the greatest comeback in the finals. So I was cool with that either way. And I'm not mad he got the 83 points. A lot of players, well not players, a lot of fans are now, and what's weird, it's Kobe fans harping on the efficiency. Even though Kobe isn't touted for being the most efficient guy. Now, he was efficient for his era in that time, and that's good, and he's still a great player. But it's weird seeing Kobe fans of all people trying to do the whole, oh, he wasn't the most efficient, he shot a lot of free throws. And just building on from the last video when we were talking about SGA, it's clearly about aesthetics when it comes to players shooting free throws or them not shooting free throws, because Giannis, Embiid, Nikola, all great, talented big men. They all get to the line a lot, but being that Embiid has a reputation of being the softest because of his injury history and the fact that he just hasn't won anything compared to Giannis and Nikola, he gets a lot more flack for getting to the line and shooting free throws. Even though Jokic shoots them at a high percentage, Giannis, mid 60s, but being that they have better aesthetics to their game and they have a better reputation right now, they don't get flack for getting to the line a lot, or when it comes to them embellishing on contact, or when it comes to Giannis specifically, it's him initiating a lot of contact and not getting as many offensive foul calls. It's about aesthetics. But everyone's favorite ethical hooper, Kevin Durant, he was giddy about Bam getting the 83 points, and he mentioned how much effort it takes to go out there and put up, to put up 40 shots and to get 83 points. And granted, if the Wizards weren't constantly fouling him or triple teaming him and denying him the ball and sending him to the line a bit more, they just let him ISO. He ends up being more efficient, but he doesn't end up getting the 83 points. But it's about aesthetics. All in all, congratulations to Bam Adebayo, 83 points, second most in league history, and hopefully, seeing how that transpired last night, maybe it'll paint a clearer picture on how Wilt got 100 points, because there is a lot of nonsense surrounding that. Very anti-intellectual when it comes to Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point record, because the guy that is documented on averaging 50 and scoring 70 points multiple times in the course of the season, it's just unfathomable that he can't get 100, even though basketball in that time period was a way less popular sport compared to baseball, and so you don't have as much coverage. Even if they have coverage of the games, back then a lot of these tapes would get deleted and erased, and we only have some of the most popular or iconic moments because of hobbyists recording these games. It's weird. It's a lot of nonsense surrounding a Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. So hopefully this quells some of that, and people can realize, it is very feasible and possible for a player to get 100 points if they got it going and they have a few things break their way. But now we'll get into the Lakers, which is going to be a lot of drama around them because they did manage to win another game against a good team without LeBron James. They managed to beat the Timberwolves last night. Now, interesting things from them beating the Timberwolves and the Knicks is how poorly that the number one option shot from both teams. I believe Ant was like 2 for 14 last night. He did most of his work at the line, and Brunson was terrible in their game. But I did appreciate the concerted effort for the majority of the game. There was only one section that was a bit sloppy, and they were up 15. It was just Vanderbilt getting a technical foul after getting into it with Bones Highland. Now, Bones does initiate the contact first, but the player that retaliates, they typically get a technical in these situations that we've seen in the past, and that was the case last night. Other than that, they played a good game. First quarter was bad when it came to shooting, and both teams were getting some good open looks off, but I am glad to see a concerted effort and some intensity for the majority of the game. I think the biggest problem now, though, is there's a lot of noise and buzzing about, is this team better without LeBron? No, that's not the case. It's mainly just the fit and how the players' skill sets overlap. Even with that, they do like to do a few things differently. Well, when it comes to Austin and Luka, they like to operate in the half court. LeBron James has been doing most of his work in transition. And when it comes to LeBron not being able to shoot well when it comes to his three ball, it's just not the best fit. So I'm worried about that going forward, because while LeBron didn't play and they played well, that really doesn't matter, because in the playoffs, I know that it's going to be LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic getting the bulk of the minutes. Like, they're all going to be playing at least 38 minutes. They're going to be in that 38 to 42 minute range. The same thing goes to DeAndre Ayton. So even though Jackson Hayes and Maxi Kleber didn't play last night, doesn't really matter, because we all know that Hayes and Kleber are not going to be getting heavy minutes in the playoffs. And when it comes to Rui and Luke, while they won't be getting the minutes they had last night, they will be having a sizable amount of minutes in the playoffs, so you need them to play well. And you're just worried about that fit when it comes to some of the lineups with Austin, Luka, and LeBron. I'm worried about that fit because it's clearly not working. They clearly have a different identity when LeBron isn't playing to compare it to when he is. And I don't know how they're going to be able to mesh that and get everything under wraps with these last 16 to 17 games remaining. I don't know how they're going to do it. Hopefully they can do it. I think it will give me more hope for them to do something in the playoffs. But seeing what they've done for most this year when it came to all three of those guys playing, I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks. And me knowing me knowing the Lakers, it's going to be those three guys getting all the playoff minutes. So if they don't figure it out when it comes to them playing the bulk of the minutes, then they're not going to figure it out in the playoffs when they have better scouting and teams are actually honed in on an opponent for 4 to 7 games. But we'll wait and see on that. We'll just wait and see. They play the Nuggets and the Rockets next for these upcoming games. I believe Braun should be back for at least one of them because it is a back-to-back. So he should be back on one of them. Hopefully in a full slate between one of those two games. They look better as a unit. But the current trends just, that hasn't been the case when it comes to Lakers' big three meshing well offensively. And we already know how they are on defense. So there's that. And if you have been watching the video, yes, it has just been me shooting free throws because I value free throws. So you will enjoy this B-roll footage of just excellent free throws going in again and again. You will enjoy it. And it's funny. You know what? I'm going to do this more often. I'm going to have free throws going in a lot more often when it's players, not players, it's fans complaining about a player's free throw taken in the game. I should do that. I think it'll be a good bit going forward for the channel. But that's all I got. Great history being made from Bam Adebayo. I like some history being made in general. So if it comes to a team having an undefeated season, I'd like to see it. When the Celtics had a chance to pull off a 3-0 comeback, like one of the few times I would ever root for the Celtics, I wanted to see it. I would like to see history being made. But that's just me. It was funny that they lost still, but I would have liked to see it being made. Next video will focus on the awards granted. Most of them are wrapped up. There's only a few toss-ups here and there. For example, when it comes to Coach of the Year, I believe whoever has a better record between the Pistons or the Spurs will win that. But MVP's wrapped up, Defensive Player of the Year is wrapped up. Shea's MVP, Wemby's the Defensive Player of the Year. This is me assuming that they're going to hit that 65 game threshold, which I believe both players will do. What will be the most interesting is seeing the most obnoxious or ridiculous name on the first team, on the second team, following the rest of the All-NBA selections. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. I will do a playoff prediction. I'm waiting to see how everything shapes out. I believe most of the teams that are in the play-in right now will stay there. Few exceptions, like I believe the Warriors will likely fall out of the play-in. But other than that, we'll make our predictions on what we think is going to happen throughout the first round and the play-in games, and maybe some potential upsets. But that's all I got. Out the way, ladies and gentlemen, y'all stay safe. I'm out.